Welcome back. Thanks for being with us. Our next segment focuses on the political challenges facing San Diego's booming Asian Pacific American community. My colleague Marianne Kushi joins us now with a couple of prominent guests to explore all that. Marianne.
Thanks, Jane. Asians are the fastest growing community right here in San Diego, and with that come a lot of challenges. Just to give you a little bit of perspective here, the number of Asians has grown 24% in the city of San Diego alone, 39% in the county, all within a 10-year period from 2000 to 2010. And now the push is on to find ways to overcome hurdles and elect the lawmakers to represent them. In communities like Mira Mesa and Kearny Mesa, you'll find large concentrations of Asian Pacific businesses. The signs on the shopping centers alone point to the various ethnic cultures, from Filipino to Korean to Thai to Chinese, Vietnamese, and Japanese. And when it comes to politics and civic involvement, one of the major barriers, language.
Oh, sorry, I can speak English. Yes.
Are you registered to vote?
No,
No.
because I don't understand English quite well to understand all the question on there.
Also, a lack of understanding for what the political system can do for them. And for many immigrants like Song Kim, who owns this cell phone store, politics is not a priority. So your first concern is making a living?
Yeah. And how I survive here with my wife, that's my concern.
But those who do think about the Asian Pacific community know there's a need to be heard.
Do you think the Asian community in San Diego as a whole has a big enough voice?
I don't think so. Not really. I think we need more Asian to be out there to talk about our community and our culture a little bit more.
I think Asians are a growing voice in the country. They may not be where they want to be right now, but they're definitely growing.
That's why we have asked our guests, two leaders right here in the Asian Pacific community here in San Diego, and they've identified the problems, come up with solutions. So we'll hear about them right now. Mitz, who is the chairman of the board of the Asian Pacific American Coalition, or APAC, and Tim Nguyen, urban entrepreneur who specializes in urban planning and economic development and research analysis. So we have identified the problems, as you first heard, a couple of them at least: language barrier, lack of knowledge, how the system can help them, and politics not being a priority. So let's tackle the first one. Mitz, what about that language barrier? How can we overcome it?
Well, at least now we know that the Registers of Voters has translated some of the registration forms. First time in the Mandarin, the first one is in Filipino, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And during this election, we did a get out the vote campaign and registration, and they really applaud that at least they have those registration that they can be able to register.
Okay.
And
so
one of those is there's really some of our immigrants came from repressive government and trust in government and giving those personal information as it is required when you sign to register. Is something that we need to address, but having those translated registration, I think it gives them comfort and trust.
And part of that problem too, Mitz, as you mentioned, are the different ethnicities, the different languages that are right here on the campaign hangers that we put on our doors. So there's Vietnamese, there's Chinese, there's Filipino, Japanese, a huge ethnic community. They obviously don't always speak the same language. How do you bring them all together?
Yes, you're absolutely right, Marianne. So San Diego's region has over 300,000 Asian Americans in the metro area of San Diego. And you're right, they're very diverse. And this is because their journeys to America are different. They came here at different times, and they have different language barriers. However, you see, starting to see changes, and especially in the second generation, you see more collaboration. And the reason for that is because of the English language. There's also the cultural bonds, as well as the American values.
And they're more acclimated to the American way of life, the generations that are second and third, right?
Absolutely.
So it's easier to be able to communicate with them?
Yes, definitely. And in my work with the Asian community, I'm starting to see three common themes that's facilitating this collaboration. It's civic representation, education, and economics.
Okay, and Mitz, you know, the last Asian leader who was very prominent was Tom Hall, but that was back in the 60s. He was on the San Diego City Council. So how can we encourage and educate and teach other Asians to become leaders within this community?
Well, I think you really need a lot of role models. I ran citywide in 2004, the first Asian American elected in the Board of Education. That was first. It's never been followed. But I think it's a fear factor for people to just get involved in politics. You know how hard it is. When you see negative campaign, you will be scrutinized. Is that really something that you would like to subject yourself or your family? But I think we need to have more of them to come out so that they know that it's something that they need to participate, because I think they will see democracy at work when they consider public office.
Okay, and in addition to what Mitz is doing, Tim, you're also working with the community in Kearny Mesa, right? It's described basically as a hodgepodge of businesses, different languages, businesses moving in and out. What's being done there to sort of unify it and to market it out so that there's some sort of progress and look toward the future?
You're absolutely right. In the Kearny Mesa area, you have hundreds of businesses that in the past 2 decades start to cluster around this area along Convoy. And our goal is to create a district that's similar to Little Italy. This is an area, a neighborhood in San Diego on the outskirts of downtown that has transformed into an economic powerhouse, you say, in terms of neighborhoods. And they use that to attract residents and tourists alike by leveraging their cultural identity and promoting that.
Okay, so in like 10 seconds, the future looks bright for the Asian community here in San Diego?
Yes, I think you see the trends. This last election, there's a tremendous voter turnout, and you will see, I think, the report that the registers of voters is going to tell us that it has doubled.
Okay.
And we are very excited about that. So our effort is to really expand civic dialogue, voter participation, and economic empowerment.